Say his name in any room, and watch what happens. Half the room lights up, the other half shuts down. No other name on earth produces this reaction as consistently, as powerfully, or as instantly. Today we are not asking whether Trump is good or bad, right or wrong. Today we are asking something far more interesting. Why does the same person produce worship in one human being and rage in another? The answer is pure psychology, and it will change how you see everything. Let us start with the people who love him. Not like him, not support him, love him. To understand this, you need to understand one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, identity fusion. Identity fusion happens when a person stops seeing a leader as separate from themselves. The leader's wins become their wins. The leader's enemies become their enemies. An attack on the leader feels like a physical attack on themselves. This is not stupidity. This is one of the oldest tribal mechanisms in the human brain. Trump speaks a specific emotional language that activates this fusion faster than almost any politician in modern history. He says we, not I. They are attacking me. They are attacking US. And for millions of people who have spent decades feeling invisible, dismissed by institutions, ignored by media, looked down upon by elites, hearing someone finally say, they are after you too, is not just politics, it is validation. Psychologist Jonathan Haidt found that when people feel morally validated, their critical thinking shuts down. They stop evaluating facts. They start defending identity. This is why facts alone never change a Trump supporter's mind. Because you are not arguing with their opinion. You are arguing with their identity. And the brain will always protect identity over logic. Now let us look at the other side. Because the hatred of Trump is just as psychologically fascinating as the love. When researchers study extreme political hatred, they consistently find one thing. The hatred is almost never purely rational. It is threat response. Trump's communication style deliberately activates what psychologists call the threat detection system. He is loud, unpredictable, norm-breaking. He says things that make people feel that the social order they depend on is being dismantled. And for people whose identity is built on institutions, norms, expertise, and social order, Trump doesn't feel like a politician they disagree with. He feels like a threat to their entire reality. Psychologist Karen Stenner's research shows that some people have a deep psychological need for oneness and sameness, order and predictability. When that need is threatened, the emotional response is not disagreement. It is visceral fear, and fear expressed outward becomes hatred. This is also why the hatred of Trump is so intense among educated people. Education builds a very specific identity: expertise, nuance, careful language, institutional trust. Trump violates every single one of those values, loudly and deliberately. So the educated brain does not just disagree, it feels personally insulted, its entire value system challenged, its identity under attack. Sound familiar? The supporter and the opponent are having the exact same psychological experience, just from opposite directions. So why does Trump produce this division more powerfully than anyone else? The answer is something psychologists call moral polarization amplification. Most politicians try to reduce conflict. They use careful language. They appeal to both sides. They soften edges. Trump does the exact opposite, deliberately. Every provocative statement, every norm violation, every refusal to apologize is not a mistake, it is a sharpening tool. Sharp division creates sharp loyalty. When you force people to choose sides, the people on your side become more committed, more passionate, more willing to fight. Research from MIT shows that moral outrage spreads 6 times faster on social media than any other emotion. Trump's communication style generates constant moral outrage on both sides simultaneously. His supporters are outraged at his enemies are outraged at him, and every single outraged person is talking about him, sharing content about him, giving him attention. While everyone argues, he remains the undeniable center of every conversation. Division is not a side effect of Trump's strategy. Division is the strategy. Here is the most fascinating psychological truth about Donald Trump. He is a mirror. What you see in him reveals more about you than it does about him. To someone who feels forgotten and dismissed, he looks like a fighter. To someone who values order and institutions, he looks like chaos. To someone who is tired of political correctness, he looks like freedom. To someone who values careful speech, he looks like danger. The same words, the same actions, the same man, completely different reflections. Psychologist Dan McAdams spent years studying Trump's psychological profile. His conclusion was striking. Trump is a blank screen onto which people project their deepest hopes and their deepest fears. The supporters project their hope for someone who will finally fight for them. The opponents project their fear of everything they believe threatens civilization. Neither side is seeing Trump clearly. Both sides are seeing themselves. And now the most uncomfortable question of all. What does your reaction to Trump tell you about yourself? If you feel an intense rush of energy when he attacks his enemies, ask yourself what that energy is about. What part of you has been waiting for someone to fight back? What wound is being touched? And if you feel genuine fear and anger every time he speaks, ask yourself what that fear is about. What value feels threatened? What identity feels under attack? What version of the world are you afraid of losing? Because here is what psychology consistently shows. The strongest emotional reactions are never really about the trigger. They are about the wound the trigger touches. Trump does not create division. He reveals it. The division was already there. In unhealed wounds, in unmet needs, in identities built on foundations that feel permanently under threat. He simply walked into a room full of existing fractures and turned on the lights. Understanding why people feel what they feel about Donald Trump does not mean excusing anything. It does not mean agreeing with anyone. It means something far more important. It means understanding that the person on the other side of this divide is not stupid, not evil, not beyond reach. They are a human being with wounds, needs, and fears that make their reaction completely logical from where they are standing. And so are you. If this video made you think differently about the people around you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to DJOE Psychology, Deep Think. New video every week. See you in the next one.